Hello and welcome to the Curiosity and Consciousness podcast. The intention of this podcast is to open your mind, get curious about yourself and connect to the power you hold within. I am your host, Maloney, an inside-out coach, helping you to believe in yourself and manifest your desires. Check out the podcast, available on all platforms, and go to my website, www.karenmaloney.com for all info. Welcome everybody. Hello. Happy Thursday. It's me, Karen Maloney. I'm back and I am back with a solo episode and an experience I want to share with you. And it really confirms the fact again of how our body keeps score, and it was a really profound experience. So that's what I'm going to talk about today, and the importance of body work and releasing what's emotionally unconscious within us as well. So to set the context for this episode, yesterday I was at the chiropractor and I go every couple of months. I really like it. I think it's a really important modality and self-care, whether you have issues or not, because again, this is our bones, this is our basic structure. And when we are out of alignment, it can pinch nerves and it's connected to our nervous system. Anyway, that's not what I'm talking about today. But I was at the chiropractor yesterday and, my muscles are always so tight. Well, let me say, they're a million times better than they used to be. But I used to be so inflexible. Like I could not bend over and touch my toes. I would maybe get as far as my knees with my arms and fingers outstretched. And that was as far as I could go. But now, I can touch my toes no problem. I can bend down to the floor. Some days, yes, I'm a bit stiffer. I have definitely improved a hell of a lot. But still, I have a lot of muscle tension and tightness. And especially in my upper back, my shoulders and my neck. So he mentioned that as well. He was like, you're good, but your muscles are a bit tight or whatever. So he gave me some exercises to do and everything as well to help them. Then this morning, when I got up, I did a beautiful inner child meditation that led me to a really interesting memory in my life. And I worked through it and I got some insight from it, a lot of insight from it. And then it got me thinking about the tension in my body again. And I was like, okay, I'm going to do some silent counseling on myself in relation to this tension and see what I get from it, what information I get with working specifically with this muscle tension. And I focus specifically on my upper back and neck. But it was so interesting. I had never thought to do silent counseling with my muscle tension and tightness. Never. It never entered my head personally. Although I have worked with clients in physical aches and pains in their bodies, but I never thought to do it on myself. I do silent counselling on myself a lot for lots of different things, but usually I would connect it to emotion or a memory or something and see if there was something to be released. So this time I was like, okay, I'll do it for my muscle tension. I can see that this muscle tension has been as a result of my childhood and freezing. And basically living in freeze mode my whole life. So it's kind of coming off that program. And I feel I've definitely come off the program mentally. And even within my body, I'm not as tense or tight or on the defense or reactionary. Absolutely not. But this muscle tightness, there's still a bit there. So I was like, okay, I'll do silent counseling on myself. And silent counseling uses muscle testing. So it's speaking directly to your subconscious mind, your body. It is not a mental activity. And we can test different timelines with silent counseling as well. So I checked, first of all, this tension, if I could work with it, and I got a yes. And if I could go to the root, and I also got a yes. And I checked some different timelines. And it connected to when I was in utero. This was the root, because again, everything is energy. That's why we carry so much subconsciously from past lives, generationally, ancestrally, when we're in utero, collectively. It's the bigger picture. So anyway, I just trust. I didn't think about it too much. Obviously, I don't remember being in utero, but that's where I got the root was. So then I went through the different meridian points in the body and saw where I needed to release energy from. And I got some different points on my head, and it was releasing, for example, gallbladder, and that's releasing resentment or rage or frustration, and stomach meridian, which has to do with obsessive worry or fear, anxiety. So I was releasing all these. And again, the thing about with silent cancelling as well, we don't need the story. We're working with the body's intelligence. We're working with the body's wisdom, because the body keeps score. The body absolutely keeps score. And that's why for true healing to happen, we have to involve the body. So I was releasing from these different points. In my body as well, I had to release from my collarbone, which is on kidney meridian and has to do with fear. So I was working, especially when I came to the liver, I was, working with that kind of sense of fire and heat and inflammation in the body, because maybe that's what a lot of this tension is as well, a form of inflammation. So I was working with that, and I was releasing from different meridians on my hand. And again, I felt a lot of energy moving. I felt lightheaded. I felt really tired at times. And I went through it. And it was funny, when I was on my collarbone, I noticed that I drifted off. I started thinking about other things. And I was like, oh, I have to come back to this, which happens sometimes. But it also happens when we are distracting ourselves. We're very good at distracting ourselves when we come up against our old programming and we don't want to go there. We don't want to do it. But anyway, I didn't pay much attention. I kept going. And then I came back after I cleared all the first round. I came back and tested if there was any more to clear. So I got a yes in my body, and it was on my collarbone again, on kidney meridian. So I went back to it and I was like, this is funny. And again, initially I kind of started to distract myself. I was tapping, I was like moving my neck from side to side, which can be fine sometimes. But again, I was like, no, I am distracting myself. I'm moving, so I'm not with the process. And again, it's not that you can't move, but I just knew intuitively that I needed to sit and to feel and be still. And I was doing everything and anything to not be still. So I caught myself, I moved into stillness, and I held the points under my collarbone. I connected to the energy of fear and panic, and I just allowed it. And oh my God, instantly, my body, it's like I got, if you're really, really sick and you have the flu and you get those kind of hot flushes, but you're cold, but you're kind of sweaty and clammy. That's exactly what happened to my body. I mean, the sensation just filled my whole body, and I was like, whoa. But again, I just kept breathing throughout it, observing it, allowing it, acknowledging it, going deeper, going, okay, I'm safe, go with it. And it felt like it lasted forever. Nothing does last forever, but it was really, really, really intense. And that was the first deeply, deeply, deeply profound shift I have felt with silent cancelling. I have felt a lot of energy move, a lot of shifts, but this was very visceral. Like that, just I felt my heart beat raise slightly, and just that cold sweat, and almost there was like a slight tremble as well. My body was slightly trembling. And I was blown away. And at one stage I doubled over and I bent over my legs. I was sitting and I bent down over my legs and I dropped my head, and I just kept breathing, doing the silent cancelling breath that we do, and just allowed it, just kept breathing, just kept moving through it, just kept releasing on the exhale, and it passed, as all emotions do when we allow them. And oh my God, it was so profound. I felt wiped afterwards, but also elated, absolutely elated. And in that moment then I wanted to lie on my belly and rock my hips back and forth. So I lay onto the bed, face down, and just gently rock my hips side to side, just allowing my body to recalibrate, to come back into balance, to do what it does best, to work with its own innate intelligence and wisdom, to come back into alignment, exactly recalibrate after that massive release. So I just lay there for a couple of moments, just breathing normally, just rocking my hips side to side, and then I just got this wash of euphoria and bliss wash over me. And I know this sounds a bit mad, but anyone who has done deep inner body work, and even through breath work as well, you feel these sensations. It's like being on plant medicine, these sensations at times, these releases, these deep purges. But again, that's why I always say our breath is our super tool, and our body is the most intelligent piece of technology we will ever own. but we just don't know how to use it. So I was in this absolute bliss and euphoria, and I just felt weightless and epic and incredible and amazing, and it was absolutely beautiful. So I just lay there for a few minutes until I felt a bit more grounded again, and then I got up and I just finished my process, and I had another point to work on, do an extra bit of releasing on, and that was on my index finger, and that is on large intestine, and it has to do with blame and guilt, but more, that kind of blame, like when you're pointing your finger at someone else. And that was really profound as well. I had a huge release there as well, and funnily it connected back to the inner child meditation that morning. That was really profound. It brought me to a really beautiful insight and realization, and that sense of not speaking up to this particular memory that came up was like looking at blame and what others did, as opposed to speaking up, because I was in the situation as well to clear everything, actually voice truly what happened, because it was a situation to do with me, but different sets of friends had said different things, and I actually didn't speak up because I was terrified to speak up. I had no voice. I used to go into freeze mode and shut down, and that was my coping mechanism. And that's exactly what I did. And I saw in that moment that that's, again, it's easier to point the finger at times. Not that I was conscious of this, not that I was blaming them. They were still my friends afterwards. But it's this idea that it's easier to look at blame sometimes as opposed to being accountable for ourselves. Because being accountable for ourselves means I would have spoken up in that moment, no matter how difficult. So there was a huge release again around that finger. And not that I know, because again, this is connecting back to a root of when I was in utero, and something I obviously perceived and energetically felt that I held in my body. So that was a healing for me, and going back to that past, that root, and through all my timelines after that, because what we learn or what we hold within are the patterns we live out unconsciously. So I could see the thread through everything. So that was just a really, really, really profound experience. Like that, I've always felt energy moving and shifts and yawning and tired and burping, and they're all energy releases, and I love the modality, but this was so profound. Literally body shakes, body sweats, trembling, that huge surge of sensations, which is incredible because now it's released. It's like, oh my God. And again, we're so unconscious to what we hold within, but our body always keeps score. It knows absolutely every single thing that has ever happened to us, past lives, this life, and we just keep playing out that energy when it is not released. It highlighted to me again the importance of building a relationship with any modality and with our body. Because again, our body's wisdom and intelligence will bring up things when we are ready for them. So we will always get a benefit once off when we do anything, I believe, whether that's painting, meditation, dancing. You feel good in the moment. Whether that lasts long term or not is unknown because it's a once off, but you will definitely experience a benefit in it. But it's like anything, when you build a practice, the gifts keep coming. So because I had that trust relationship with my body, with this modality, it felt safe to bring up what needed to come up. And that doesn't mean I'm healed forevermore. No, there's always layers. And it's not to say that now going forward, every experience and every time I do silent counselling on myself is going to be as profound. No, that's not the truth either. Again, it's trusting our body's wisdom. And that's the same for all of us in our lives. When we come up against our old programming, when something rises, whether it's a memory event, and often we think, why is this coming up again? This is so old. But there's still something resonating within our body. There's still an energy imprint in our body that needs to be released. Because again, it's the saying of we need to feel it to heal it. And often when something happens, we suppress, we shut down, we avoid, we go into fight, flight or freeze. And that's okay. That again is our body's wisdom. That's our body's intelligence. But when it does start coming up, because it will absolutely come up, that's when we need to work with it and know it's safe to feel it and have modalities like this to release it safely So we liberate that energy from our cells, from our subconscious mind, from our body. But we're not taught these skills. So what do we do when something comes up? Usually we run, we avoid, we distract, we numb out, we reach for the food, the sugar, the alcohol, the work, the exercise, and we go into overdrive because, well, I know for me, I didn't know how to feel. Or better said, I didn't know how to process my feelings and emotionally self-regulate because I'd never been taught it before. Whereas no, it's such a beautiful experience. And again, it's our body communicating with us. And, I say to every client, the intelligence and wisdom of our body is far beyond any piece of technology that exists or will exist on this planet. It is incredible. It is always working for us. And if something shows up, again, it's not going against us. It's trying to communicate with us that it needs our help. And that's not often the narrative that we're told. And yeah, so that's what I wanted to share. And now I'm going to go and have a beautiful ceremonial a cup of cacao to help ground me back more into my body and do a beautiful yin yoga or something to just really move into more of this expansion and this bliss and this spaciousness. And it's so amazing because this is why I love the inner work and doing all these, not that I do silent counseling all modalities daily, but I have a daily practice and I absolutely love it because you always feel better, you always feel good, you might have an insight, you might have a realization, a new clarity, an epiphany, an aha. But then every now and again when you keep going, it's like boom, this whole new level opens, and that expansion and that feeling and that next level of consciousness is just like, wow, it makes it all so much more worth it. So that's why I keep going as well. And it's amazing. And we never know when they're going to happen. It's not like I look for them, but they come when we're ready for the next level of consciousness and expansion and opening and healing and coming back to wholeness. And it's just so epic. And again, we all have this capacity to do this for ourselves. So that's really what I wanted to share with you for this episode. My really profound experience prepping me for my birthday, which is next Wednesday, the 31st. That must be my early birthday present to myself. But again, just the importance of a practice and having someone to teach you or learning these tools and skills to do for yourself. Like, again, we have all the power. We are the only thing that we need in our lives, but we have to be willing to do the work and to learn and to educate ourselves and to be accountable for ourselves in order to free ourselves of what we hold unconsciously within. And that's exactly what I do in my work as well. I teach people how to be their own coach. I give people the tools and skills to be their own coach because, again, we're with ourselves 24/7 and anything can happen in any moment and we can go into that fight, flight or freeze, and we don't have to wait until we go to our next session with X, Y and Z to release it. We can do it in the moment by having this body awareness practice and having these tools and skills to feel safely and release. So yeah, a final reminder, I have been doing a birthday special of silent counselling. So if you want to try it for yourself, and again, it works with physical aches and pains, clearly, but also emotions, repeating patterns in your life, fears, phobias, anxiety, so many different things. Because again, we're connecting with our body wisdom. It's a discounted price for the month of August. So you've got a couple of more days until the 31st, next Wednesday, to avail of that special, to try this for yourself. Give yourself the gift of a couple of sessions, to really experience the benefits. And I'm not saying you'll have something as profound straight off as I had. You might, absolutely. Every person is different. It depends where you are at and what your body is ready to release now. But you still will feel a benefit and a release like that. Every other time before, I always felt a lot of energy. I was yawning and emotional and crying and burping, and there was energy being released. But this was just a really profound, visceral, full body sensation release. And again, when you're in it at times, you're like, oh my God, this is awful. But again, it's not connecting to our thoughts in the story. It's just staying with the emotions, staying with the sensations and keeping the breathing going. And that's what I'm there to guide people with as well. And it is something that's done remotely because I can show you how to muscle test yourself and everything. So go to my website if you want to check that out. If you want to avail of it, try it for yourself. Go to my website, KarenMaloney.com, and if you go to the shop section, you will see the details on the silent counselling. And other than that, I will talk to you in September. Bye.